Hi, I'm Akash Kashyap, and today we're going to be talking about the law of music, and in particular, covers and soundalikes. Now, often there will be very popular music or very popular styles of music that are simply unaffordable or unavailable for use, whether it's through synchronization or to simply replicate or do an homage to. For that reason, there are covers and soundalikes. These are two workarounds. Now, a cover is a reproduction of a musical composition by another artist, whereas a soundalike is the construction of an entirely artificial piece of music designed to resemble either a popular work, popular artist, or popular style of music. Now, both of these have their advantages and disadvantages as alternatives to the real deal, as it were. And we'll be going over these in order. First, let's talk about covers.
Covers are essentially a licensed use of a musical composition that's already subject to copyright. So basically, it is using the copyright of the musical composition, but not that of the sound recording. Now, this helps because obtaining a license for a musical composition is significantly easier than obtaining a license for a sound recording. In fact, in the US and some other jurisdictions, there is the regime of mechanical licenses, which allows you to automatically get a copyright composition's license. Now, under US copyright law, this is compulsory and has a fixed rate where at most, for a full song, it'll be a couple of cents for the license. Now, because you are taking the license of the composition, obviously that in and of itself is not the same as a recording. What you end up doing is producing a recording of that composition. Do another performance with your own artists and have that recorded. And then you have a sound recording that you have the full copyright for. And as you have a license to the composition that you've used, you are perfectly legally clear to use this new recording. Now, because there's no need to get the recording copyright, either to procure it or to get a license, it is a much cheaper alternative to licensing the popular or original sound recording's copyright. Now, there are two major restrictions that apply to a cover. First, getting a mechanical license does not give you the right to create a derivative work. What that means is your reproduction of that composition cannot be substantially dissimilar from the composition as it was. You do not get to license the right to make a remix or reinterpretation or a completely different piece of music that builds off of what you've licensed. The second restriction is that you can only get a mechanical license for a work after the commercial use is exhausted. What that means is that they have the right to take their copyrighted musical composition to market first. They have the right to get the first bite of the apple, so to speak. So if that musical composition has not gone to market, if they've not had the opportunity to profit off of it, you will not be able to obtain a mechanical license.
So a cover is a perfectly valid alternative, but as we just saw, there are some downsides to using it. The expense, now not just the expense of the mechanical license, but in order to use a cover work, you need to have a cover work produced, or you'll end up in the same position where you need to obtain the license for a sound recording and for a performance. There's also the problem that you're very hemmed in by how much you can play with the melody and how much you can modify it to suit your purposes. The mechanical license has very strict restrictions, as we just saw. When this is not sufficient, or whether it's too expensive or too restrictive, you have the option of going to a soundalike. Let's see what that entails.
Now, a soundalike is essentially an imitation. It's an imitation of the sound of a song, the style of an artist, or just a popular musical trend. These are not licensed creations. These are intended to be separate works that have separate copyrights. What this means is that there needs to be sufficient differences between the song that the soundalike is trying to sound like, or the artist it's trying to imitate, and the soundalike itself. Now, these differences need to be sufficient such that a listener not only can tell that they are different creations, but there is an intention to make different creations. So simple covers or remixes aren't going to work, whether you're shifting it down to a minor key, or moving a few notes up and down, or switching their order around. That will not be sufficient. There has to be some degree of intentionality that can be interpreted. You have access to soundalikes of popular songs and popular artists that are well used in small budget productions, whether that is a micro budget film, a YouTube production, or even just a one-person podcast that needs some backing music. However, the blurred lines case may spell the end for the soundalike industry. In this case, the judge held that the feel of a composition, independent of any overlapping notes or elements, may constitute a copyrightable element, and that echoing the feel may constitute a violation of the copyright. Given that this is the entire intention behind the soundalike industry, it may not be able to function as it once had if this holding is carried forward.
So covers and soundalikes are both options that will help you roughly capture the sound and feel of a popular piece of work while not breaking the bank. However, as we've seen, both do have their downsides, and which one you choose is a matter of careful consideration. In order to find out whether a cover or soundalike can help you, and to ensure that you're complying with the legal requirements for both, consult an entertainment attorney.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment with your thoughts, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to see more content.